dad was very much the head of the household. And so I looked up to him growing up, and I wanted to be like him. I wanted to look like him, and I did. As I was growing up, I really prided myself on trying to become my dad. I told people that if I could become half the man that my dad was, I'd be happy, just half. Because I respect him so highly, and so did so many other people. He used to speak on this thing called the Father Heart of God, and basically what it means is he was a father to many that didn't have a father. He was a father to those who had been hurt by their fathers. He was a father to anyone who just had the misfortune of having their father not be around. And I loved him for that. I loved him for loving other people, and I loved him for loving me too, because he was very special. He was so special. So, sometimes things can be deceiving though. And so basically what I'm trying to say is, about a year and a half ago, my father and my mother came to Seattle, and he went to a doctor's appointment, and I get a phone call at work, and they say, "How you have to come home right now," and they wouldn't tell me why. So I think my dad's dead, or my dad's dying, or something. And so I go home, and I'm like, "Where's my dad? Where's my dad? Where's my dad?" And they sit me down, and they say, he left for a woman in Texas. He's gone. He left today. And I just sat there, and I couldn't believe it. He didn't even consult me. I was his firstborn son. I'm named after him. I looked like him, and I wanted to be him, and I respect him so highly, and I would talk to him all the time. But he didn't have the respect for me to tell me that he was leaving my family. And it's not just that. He didn't want to tell me. He didn't care. He just left. And it wasn't like he was leaving my mother and staying with us. He just left. He's gone. And so that day, I decided in my heart that I never wanted to be like my father. I didn't want to be anything like my father. I wanted to change everything about who I was. And that included being a Christian, so I went far left. I got into a lot of trouble really quickly. I was really confused and hurt, so I started taking that confusion and hurt, not on other people so much, but more on myself. Because I looked in the mirror and I'd see my dad's face and I hated it. And so I got in trouble with the police, and very quickly I started hitting this downward spiral. And I felt that I deserved it, and I felt that I needed to do it in order to somehow never be like my dad. And during this time, I pulled away from my family because they're all Christian, and they would try and guide me back to God. And so I didn't want that, because God is the guy who tricked my dad into believing all this stuff. And so I didn't want to do any of this. And I finally one day I kind of shouted out to God. I said, "Hey, I am giving you one more chance. I'm going to go to there's this camp that these lovely people came to in Alaska. I'm going to go to this camp. This is your last chance, God. I'm going to go there. And if you don't meet me, then sorry, I can't. I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing." So I went there, and one night my brother-in-law was preaching, and he said, "If you have any hurts in your life, any pain, please come to the front, and we'll pray for you." And so I just went to the front. I said I didn't think anything was going to happen really. I just went up to the front because I told God his last chance, and I went up. And my brother-in-law came and prayed for me, which I didn't really want because he's my brother-in-law, but he came and prayed for me, and he gave me this hug. And just to let you know, I love hugging people. I love loving on people. I'm just a happy guy. But I hadn't been hugged since a year before, when my dad left. I saw him that morning, gave me a hug for the last time. And so it broke me. It broke something inside me deeply. And I felt God's love just pour out on me, and I began to weep, and I began to cry. And then God began to tell me about how even though I was running away, He was chasing after me. Even though I was cursing His name and saying, "What good is it to serve God?" He was trying so hard to tell me that He loved me. And I'm just here to tell you guys that if you have pain in your life, if you have hurt in your life, God can fix it. God is the most wonderful thing ever in Christ and ever will be.